All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the On Air Advocate. We're at the On Air Advocate. We look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I'm super excited that you are joining us here today on this morning broadcast, as well as hanging with us with any of these technical difficulties. That should be resolved, they said, in the next 24 hours. So then it'll be back to normal. So as you guys know, we are focusing our next few weeks on chronic pain and pain management. And for those of you who may know Dawn or may not, she has tons and tons of knowledge in this area, being a mother that has traveled the journey with her daughter, Sadie, for over the last decade of her having chronic pain with having a mixed connective tissue disorder and disease. So I'm super excited to have Dawn back because you have so much information to share. I know that you've tried out so many different remedies, from the aspect of holistic to the medicine aspects. And so excited to gather all that information together, as well as kind of review again that body check journal and how that came to be.
Cool.
Welcome, my dear.
I'm glad to be here with you. This is very fun.
So can you kind of start out with what are Sadie's conditions?
Okay, so Sadie's a little unusual in that she has something called Mixed Connective Tissue Disease that affects all the different connective tissues in her body. So that's like the umbrella diagnosis. And underneath that, she has juvenile arthritis, which a lot of people are familiar with juvenile arthritis now. That affects all her joints. And then she has scleroderma, which affects her skin and her lungs, her internal organs. And she has dermatomyositis, which affects her muscles, and then something called Raynaud's that affects her circulation. So she's kind of got a triple whammy going on. So she has things flare in different ways all the time. But she has an unusual mix. A lot of the mixed connective tissue disease groups have lupus or some of the other ones. In fact, we've only ever met one kid who had the same exact diagnosis as Sadie. So, hi, Emily, if you're watching. But yeah, so that's her mix. A lot of times you'll meet people that have one of those, like the juvenile arthritis kids. All these kids, they suffer a lot with chronic pain.
Mm-hmm. So what were some avenues that you started with? Because I don't think you went into that holistic kind of area right away, right? You went kind of with all the doctor's recommendations of regular medications for pain management.
Right. So for anyone who doesn't know, Sadie started with her symptoms at 18 months. And then at 4, it was really bad. And it took them almost a year to figure it out what it was. And so we, of course, yes, we have a whole doctor's team at Shands Hospital at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And so we started out with all the typical pain medications that they prescribe, right? First you start off with Aleve, and then you bump up to the prescriptions, and then you bump up to the infusions and the shots and all of it. And probably she's been on it all. She's been on Enbrel, she's been on Remicade, she's been on IVIG, she's been on Actemra, she's been on methotrexate. Oh my gosh, God bless any person that has to take methotrexate. And of course all the different pain medications. So here's the thing with a chronic illness, with an autoimmune disease. They look at you with your beautiful 4-year-old child or your 2-year-old child or your 10-year-old child, however you are when you start this, and they say, this is their life. There's no cure. This will be their life forever. And so I think in the first couple of years, you're reeling a lot and trying to find your new norm. And then you just start going, wait, there's got to be something else. There's got to be things we can try. There's got to be pieces we can pull together to at least give them the best quality of life. If she's going to be on infusions from now till the day she dies, I at least want her to have the best quality of life that she has. And I also want to say, starting out, every single person on this planet is different. So never, ever, ever are we ever going to tell somebody what to do. We're going to tell them, track your child, pay attention, figure out what combination works best for your kid, because every single one is different. And Where I started was diet. So I Googled once she got diagnosed, and I researched autoinflammatory disease, and I realized that there's all this inflammation and her body is fighting itself.
Right.
I Googled inflammatory foods, and Google will give you the top 10 most inflammatory foods. Like, don't take my word for it, go Google it. And the number one thing is sugar, refined sugar, right? The cocaine of food. Honestly, it is. It's that food component that gives your brain that feeling, just like you're taking cocaine. We wonder why everybody's addicted to sugar. It's because it gives your brain that same fabulous effect, I guess. I'm assuming. But anyways, that's where I started. I just started with Googling what was inflammatory, and I started with removing that from her diet, because
Okay. So you started with the sugars first. That was like your first level of attack.
That was my first thing. Right after she was diagnosed, we were going to the hospital. She was getting her shots. And I thought, if I've got this kid who's got all this inflammation inside of her body that's just flaring everything up, on one hand, we're giving her all these medications. So it's like having a fire. And on one side, you've got the fireman with the fire hose, right, trying to put it out with the medications. And then on the other hand, in my mind, was the food. So if I'm pouring gasoline on the fire with her food while we're trying to pour water on the fire with the medications, it seemed like it was just fighting itself.
Right.
And so
right.
that was my mindset. That's where I started. And that's always where I encourage anyone to start with the food, because it's hard. It's lifestyle change. And if you can't make those first changes, there's no sense doing everything else, because you're still in essence pouring gasoline on the fire. So don't spend your money on all the other alternative things. Start with the easiest, the hardest and the easiest, if that makes sense.
Right. And so once you kind of got through the foods, what was kind of your next level that you guys went?
Yeah. But can I just say this too? If somebody's going to do food, so whenever you have a kid,
or other resources maybe for food. I know you looked at Google, but were there other books or things that you'd highly recommend?
There's a million. So here's the thing. The one thing too, when you get diagnosed, or your child gets diagnosed with an illness, everyone comes out of the woodwork with trying to tell you what to do, right? And I think their hearts are true, but you can just get inundated with everybody telling you what to do. And just encourage you to just take it with a grateful heart. Doesn't mean you have to do it. And just say thank you. We've got a whole team that's working on this together, but we'll consider, I hear what you're saying. And when it comes to food, the number one thing to do is track your kid. Go full on. If you decide to do something like, if you want to go refined sugar-free, which is, if you have autoimmune disease, it is the perfect place to start. It's the hardest place to start, but it's the most inflammatory thing, removing the most inflammatory thing from their diet. I always encourage people, make a plan with your kid, depending on how old your kid is. Make a plan. Say, listen, we're going to do this together for 2 weeks or 1 month, 30 days. We are going to try this because our goal is to get you feeling the best that we can. And if you have your kid on board and you do it together, see what you can learn, see what you can do. There's a million resources. If you Google refined sugar-free, so for Sadie, we do gluten-free, refined sugar-free, mostly dairy-free. She gets very tiny bit of dairy.
Did you feel that the sugar had the biggest impact? Did you feel the sugar, or did you feel like when you started to remove that gluten, you had just as much of an impact as the sugar?
Yeah, I think both. We started with the sugar. We didn't go gluten-free for a couple years. But the sugar, removing sugar from a kid's diet is so huge. You realize how much that it's in everything, and just making that change, I think, is big enough for a parent to take on with their child to start. But there's a million different, thank God for the internet. I don't know how people did it before then, but there are people who love to cook, who love to bake, who you can Google autoinflammatory diet, and they've got all these amazing recipes. There's a million resources out there. So just doing your research, finding what fits, finding how much time you're willing to spend in the kitchen, or, just figuring out what fits your lifestyle is huge. To me, Sadie did, even when she was on all of her medications and her infusions, because she was sugar-free, she did so much better than a lot of the other kids. It always amazes me, in the infusion rooms, they serve the kids cookies and sodas and all of that kind of stuff. It's different mindsets. So I think the holistic homeopathic approach comes from the mindset of, we are these amazing bodies that are designed to heal themselves from the inside out. And if you can get everything functioning properly, you will begin to heal from the inside.
Right.
If you agree with that, or if you're on board with that, then you just kind of start shifting your perspective little by little. We were very blessed to have amazing doctors. They weren't thrilled as we started this process, but they were supportive. I documented everything. I think that helped a lot because they knew I was on top of everything. Doctors are there to help your kid. And when you try something new, they're afraid you're going to go so far sideways that the kid's disease is going to get to a place where they can't get it under control again.
Right.
So we did have a fabulous doctor that trained in India, and he always said, I never understood why people think this little tiny pill that I give them is going to affect their whole body, but this whole plate of food won't affect it in any way. And I thought,
Right.
that's true. They never really talked about that. So whether you decide, there's autoimmune disease diets, there's the auto-inflammatory diet, there's removing nightshades from your body, there's keto, there are literally as many diets as there are people. So taking a small piece, as much as you want to tackle to start with, and just beginning there, and everything positive that you do is going to have a good effect. So just baby step your way through it. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. And so there wouldn't be, what I'm kind of hearing from you is that you kind of tackled and gathered a ton of information from all different sources. It wasn't like you went to one specific book or one specific spot for that.
I did from all different directions. There's Gluten-Free Goddess, and there's Gluten-Free on the Shoestring.
Since we're doing this, John, do you want to, since we're on the live as well, when we're done, we can still drop it below then? We can drop some of your favorites.
Put in some links. Yeah, for sure.
Put some links in for your favorites.
I am not one of those girls who loves to cook. I do not like to cook. I think homes and kitchens should come with a chef. So I can do it. Anybody can do it. Yeah, we'll drop some links in there to get people started. And it truly is number one, committing hardcore. I mean, if you say you're going to go sugar-free, refined sugar-free for 30 days, it takes 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to get a person off sugar. And that will not be a fun 2 weeks. I'm just telling you right up front, it will be one of the hardest things you do.
For Sadie, did she find that she had a lot of like headaches or just irritability, or what were the things that she found?
So you mean
in her feelings when you were taking her off of sugar? What were her emotions?
Oh, her joints swell and her muscles would ache. Like the inflammation inside your body just makes it harder to function. So as she came off sugar, she just moved better. She was 4.5, 5 at that time that we did sugar. So it's hard to remember that far back, but she moved a lot better. And I knew we weren't feeding the inflammation at the same time we were trying to take care of it. When we went off of gluten a couple years later, the difference is, overall she just did better. There's a lot of research on gluten. There's a lot of dispute about gluten, and gluten's one of those things that you really, if you're going to commit for 30 days, you got to commit all the way 100%, not one cheat, because the tiniest bit of gluten can cause swelling and headaches and brain fog. A lot of people get brain fog. That's probably one of the number one things that you can know. If you eat a sandwich and 30 minutes, an hour later, your brain feels fuzzy, it's probably just a gluten intolerance. It's super common, especially here in the States. Does that make sense? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. But I think it's really important what you were saying is that people don't cheat. So if they're trying this out with their kids, or if they're an adult that is experiencing chronic pain, that if they're going to set themselves on a path of removing something from their diet, that they stay with that for a succession, and also tracking it, which with like the body check journal that you developed was one of the reasons why you did, so that you could track it out to see if it was working or not.
Exactly. Yes. And, you know, you and your kid will know if you're doing it all the way, but tons of people say, oh, I tried this, it didn't work. I tried this, it didn't work. You just have to be hardcore and do it. And if you do it all the way 100% for 30 days, then you'll know. And, you know, I think it was Wayne Dyer that said, you know, I live my life as a series of 30-day experiments. So when people tell me something and say, oh, you should try this or you should do this, he said, I don't automatically just say no. I said, I could do that for 30 days. And I'm like, wow, that's a whole different perspective, right? Because your life is so long. But if somebody says do this, you can do it for 30 days, and you're like, yeah, that didn't work. Or, oh my gosh, that was life-changing. So I kind of like perspective on that. So diet, you know, my encouragement to people would pick one thing, go with it, decide if it's helping or not, then pick the next thing and keep going. There's a lot of fabulous substitutions now. Coconut sugar, I'm back to sugar for a second, but coconut sugar won't raise your glycemic index, so it's great for people with diabetes. It's also not inflammatory, but you can substitute it for white sugar or brown sugar. So there's so many. Is
coconut sugar something that you can find at a regular grocery store, or is it a natural?
Like regular grocery stores, yes. Like in the last 10 years, it is just beautiful to see all the easy options that are out there now. So between bloggers and foodies that have all these different things, and the information that the health community keeps finding out, and the demand, like the regular grocery stores, we have Publix down here, they have so much. It's great. Yeah.
Right, in that area.
And it's, So that's my little spiel on diet. It's been life transforming for us, for Sadie. It's funny, I did it with her. I just wouldn't ask my kid to do something that I wouldn't do with her. And I was already sugar-free when I put her on it, which made it easy for the two of us to do. But then when she went gluten-free, I took gluten out of the house. And the crazy thing is, oh my gosh, I feel better. It is unbelievable. So who knows? You might all start feeling better. You just.
I do think that anytime you want to be that diligent on something with your child, you really need to actively be doing it along with them. You know, I mean, because or else it becomes very, very difficult if you're, at least for those first couple of weeks till you get into a good routine.
Right. The other thing too, we have such a food culture, right? You get a good grade, we're taking you for ice cream. Oh, you did this, well, here's a lollipop. We are a food culture, and breaking that cycle takes conscious thought. But once you do, it's amazing. Like, for example, Sadie, when she was little, people would be like, oh my gosh, you can't have gluten, you can't have sugar, you poor baby. And she would be like, Mommy, why do they say that? Don't they know I feel better? I feel better. My food is good. And I feel better. Like, she was so excited to feel better. She's like, I don't understand why they feel bad for me. I feel better. So in her eyes, it's just a difference in how we look at kids and how we reward with food, or think that, food it has to be a certain way. But so that's diet. What else have we tried? When Sadie was 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there, and I knew this was her life. Like, literally, this was her life. And at the time we were on medication, she was on shots twice a week and monthly infusions, and then she switched to biweekly infusions, and it's just huge. And I realized in tracking her that she was getting 8 good days a month, 8. And I thought, oh my gosh, like, literally, I'm going to tell my kid, this is it. This is your life. You get 8 good days a month. And I remember just being like, when she turns 18, when she grows up, I want to be able to look at her and say, yeah, this is your life, but you got to know that I tried everything. I tried everything that came across my path, everything I learned about, we tried it, and this is as good as I could get it.
Right.
So it didn't matter.
No stone unturned.
Yeah. So if it doesn't work, I just check it off like, yep, that doesn't work. We're going to try something else. But the beautiful thing is that everything we've done has worked. She has more good days than bad days. She's thriving. She's doing amazing. I'll never forget the first time she woke up. She was probably 8. And she looked at me and her eyes got really big. And she said, Mommy, my tummy doesn't hurt. And I said, oh, that's good, baby. You know, just kind of being like, oh, that's sweet. And she goes, no, you don't understand. My tummy doesn't hurt. For the first time in her entire life that she could remember, her stomach didn't hurt. And, oh, it just makes me cry just thinking about it, because I never realized her stomach hurt that much. You know, it was her norm. And until it wasn't there, she didn't realize it was missing. And she said, no, my tummy doesn't hurt. And she said, it'll probably hurt in a couple hours, but right now it doesn't hurt. And oh my gosh, I just bawled my head off. And I had to teach her, okay, when it feels like this, that means you're hungry. And when it feels like this, you got to run to the bathroom. And when it feels like this, oh, you were just too active. And now those are sore muscles. Like, we had to teach her all of that, because in her, it had just hurt all the time and she didn't know any different. So moments like that just make you realize, oh my gosh, it's worth it. It's worth every time I sat on the kitchen floor and started bawling because I just couldn't figure out this recipe and my food tasted like crap. And, it just all makes it worth it. That's what we do, right? We just persevere.
Right.
And keep trying.
Got me in tears here, Dawn.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you do that. But, we look at our babies and we would do anything for them. And so that's what I just encourage people. Life is overwhelming and huge and big, but just pick one little piece and try it. And then if that works, keep going. And if it doesn't work, try something new. So the other stuff we did, so with Sadie's disease, with her arthritis and her dermatomyositis with her muscles and scleroderma, her skin is so sensitive from the scleroderma. Oh my goodness. It's like things to us that we'd be like brushed up against and we wouldn't even think twice. She'll be like, oh, ow.
So her skin is like sensitive, like that way, like sensitive to touch, or it's sensitive to products like creams and things like that?
Yes, both, but mostly sensitive to touch. So like if she scratched a little bit, it really hurts her. Where to us, we probably wouldn't even notice. So learning your kid and just realizing they're wired different. They're everything's a little bit different. So what seems one way to us is not exactly the same as it is for them, right? And then just figuring it out, tracking it. That's So we tried chiropractic. She's had a chiropractor since she was 4 as well. There's a whole lot of schools of thought on chiropractic, and there's as many good chiropractors as there are bad. So vetting your holistic doctors, vetting your alternative medicine doctors is huge. Hi, Linda. And another chronic mom in the CP community that's fabulous. Thanks for being here, Linda. But there's different schools of thought. Some people go to chiropractic for the money. Some people go to hi Rosie, go to chiropractic to change the world, to affect lives. And so finding a chiropractor like that's not just there to build $1 million practice, but that's there to help you navigate your child's health, that helps you, that is a piece of your medical team. So chiropractic has been huge. It comes from the school of thought that if you can keep the body aligned and functioning properly, it's going to take care of itself better. I heard Tim Ferriss refer to healthcare as whack-a-mole symptoms, and that just made me giggle so bad, because how many times have our kids been given a medicine, or even us? You're given a medicine, it has this side effect, so you're given this medicine for that side effect, and this medicine for the side effect from that one, and this side effect from this other one, and they call it whack-a-mole. And oh God, that just made me giggle. So it's like, if you can get to where you start and address as much of the cause of the root of the problem, then you can eliminate some more of the medicine. So I think that's what we're doing. We're helping our kids keep their body strong so that they can take as few medicines as possible. So
because I think sometimes, if I can interrupt you for a second, that people don't look at is that with these kids. And I feel like, we're looking here, we're looking there. We're not trying to ignore anybody. If you weren't here in the beginning, we're on different devices. We're trying to make this work today. But I think that people don't realize when their kids have chronic illness when they're little and they start things, if they stay on those meds, you know, for 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, 15 years, you know, my son's going to be 21 now this year. And now we're coming into the issue where he's been on some meds for so long. That's over 2 decades, you know, and that starts to affect your kidneys, your liver, and your major organs. So getting your kids off of as many meds as humanly possible is really the goal, you know, to preserve your organs for as long as possible.
And please, nobody think we're judging you. We know that every person in every situation does the very best they can for their child. We all have the same goal, to take good care of our kids. So we're just sharing, or I'm just sharing what's worked for us.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So find what works for you. Message us if you want some extra support. But
now you use chiropractic. You also did a lot with like the TENS machine and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that too.
Chiropractic. We use massage. My kid has had a massage therapist since she was 4. I need a massage therapist. No, we have an amazing Dawn. We love you. We have an amazing massage therapist and someone that really knows what they're doing. They can just keep their body functioning as best as possible, right? So what I noticed a lot of times is sometimes it's hard to figure out if a kid has chronic pain, is it the disease that's causing it? Is it something going on with their body, like if they went swimming or if they're having muscle issues? Is it something that can be resolved that's not actually the disease, it's just something else going on in their body? Could they be coming down with a cold? Could they, there's a million things that'll cause pain. Did they not get enough sleep or enough water? Now they've got headaches. It's putting those little pieces together. So a really good massage therapist can just keep their body, the toxins moving through their body, can keep their muscles working properly, can keep just keep it working. And I noticed that Sadie was on a lot less pain meds with the massage therapist, especially just because it kept her body moving. And sometimes it's hard to tell if her body's locked up with her muscles or if it's her joints. That's like with the arthritis, that's actually the pain. So, I just think,
and I think that is great. And I know that if some people are seeking out, my son has a neuromuscular massage therapist that comes to the home once a week for that. And we found her through actually our children's hospital here. So she actually works there and then also does outreach through that. So sometimes if you can't find somebody in the normal massage realm that says that they specialize in it, possibly through your hospital facilities might be able to help you that way.
Right. And the other beautiful thing is insurance companies are getting more on board with it. In Europe, they do a lot of preventative. Here, they're kind of coming along. But some insurance companies will pay for massage. They treat it like an OT or a PT visit. But there's also physiologists, which help the body keep working at the hospitals. Like, there's so many resources now. So I just encourage you to explore what could be causing pain that's maybe not specifically the disease. Just open your vision a little bit, and and just look for all those different things. Okay, so as far as like controlling daily chronic pain, like you mentioned the TENS unit. The TENS unit, there's something called a BAUD, B-A-U-D, which is now I think a level 2 medical device that a lot of insurance companies will support.
A BAUD? I have not heard of that. What is that?
Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah, it works kind of like a TENS. It's a different frequency and wavelength, and it works really good for like chronic back pain, headaches, things like that. So we'll put the links. People can research them on their own. But being able to find something that insurance companies will support is huge. So, and I know with those, you adjust the dial so your child or you can actually up it and the frequency and the vibration to whatever level you need for that day. But I know people that have used it that have had like auto accidents and they have long-term chronic pain, and it's really helped them with that as well. As there's all kinds of chronic pain. It's not just disease related. It could be accident related or genetics. There's all kinds of things. So there's also some there's things like the Beamer mat, B-E-M-E-R, and some of those things are they're alternative medicine. You just have to do your research. We have a friend with one, and we've had great success with it. So what that does is it was developed in Germany, I believe, and they got a grant from the government to develop something to help with preventative medicine. It's just a different school of thought over there. And what it does is it gets all the blood flow to the capillaries going so that your body can get the oxygen and the nutrients it needs all the way to the end of the capillaries. The older we get, the less blood flow we have in our capillaries. And I think by the time you're 75 or something, you have like, oh gosh, I wish it's something like you only have like 60% of blood flow in the capillaries that you did when you were younger.
Okay.
So it's all about just keeping the body working and moving and functioning, right? Oh, yoga. Yoga is another great thing that works. I mean, it sounds very new agey, but I think more and more hospitals are actually even offering yoga. Some of them even do things like drum therapy and incense and meditation. There's just all kinds of things that
because
are,
that's really that's kind of that mindset of taking, you know, like where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Right.
So it's kind of taking that your mind away from some of that pain by focusing on the yoga, the meditation, the music, more of those holistic areas.
Right. Sadie did kids aerial yoga here in Orlando, and that has been huge for her. And you know, you just have to find what works, what you like. Oh, that Calm app is fabulous as well, for meditations and for just taking your mind off it. I don't know what your son ever did, but Sadie, when her pain would get really bad, she'd jump on her dragon and fly away. That was her coping mechanism to her really bad pain. And I know we've met a lot of our friends that their kids do something similar. They just take off somewhere in their minds. They're amazing. Oh my gosh, these kids are so amazing. I know the doctors are always pushing exercise, right? I don't know if you get that with your son, but it's like that big circle. It's like they can't move, they're hurting. How much do you push them? It's going to help them to move. It's going to lubricate their joints. It's just this big cycle, and knowing what to do and finding the stuff that works. I think we've all been those parents who have seen the doctor that made them think we were crazy, or that our kids' pain couldn't be as bad as they're saying.
Right.
You know, everyone has their one bad doctor horror story or multiples or whatever. But I think just finding what works. Swimming is huge in our world because of the low impact. The PT and
my son is on a ton.
They know. So I think that's another good way. I don't know what your experience is with that, but that's been huge. Baths. I think my kid would live in the water. So Epsom salt baths. There's a million essential oils if you're into that. There's a bunch of different ones you can use for pain. So you put it in your bath water and they soak for an hour, which is just good relaxation. We do have a holistic doc. I don't think I've talked about her yet, but depending on your journey and depending on how you want to do it, you know, do you want to just add little pieces? At first, we just added pieces. We added the chiropractor, the massage therapist, and we added, you know, different ways to control pain. And we changed her diet, and we kept her on all her medications. And it was just an evolution. It was a several-year process to get to where we are now. I mean, we've been doing this for over 10 years, right? So, but she does have a holistic doctor, and we gradually switched her over to away from pharmaceuticals. She's one of those kids, those pharmaceuticals just really affect her. So as we kept doing research and kept trying new things, we were able to just wean her from one to the other. And that's been huge in her world. Amazing, actually. She's doing great. But I can't stress enough vetting anybody that you go to, even if it's a medical doctor, if it's a naturopath, a holistic doctor, you have to know what they do. You have to know what their mission is, what their passion is, and what their skill level is.
Right, because in every state, I know that we've had on some holistic docs, and for those that don't know, if they want to go back and watch the YouTube video, it is on our YouTube and in our podcast, but there are certain states that are actually licensed states that have naturopathic doctors, and there are other states that are non-licensed. So if you are in a non-licensed state, you want to definitely make sure that you've checked A to Z, that the person has had tons of training, tons of work with hands-on with patients, and doesn't just have a certificate that they got from a one weekend course. where they're able to call themselves a naturopathic, or a homeopathic doctor. So, I mean, just to cover yourself and your loved one.
Exactly. We're blessed here to have one who's practiced for over 35 years. So I feel very, very fortunate for that. And I know if you're thinking about going to see a naturopath of any kind, the number one thing they're going to do is take you off of sugar, and they're going to change your diet. So before you spend the bucks, none of that's covered by insurance. So before you invest all of that time and money, I would encourage starting with the diet, because you're going to have to do it anyway if you go down that path. So just kind of get that checked off the list, and it will make the transition easier. If you already go to someone like that and you've already made some diet changes, it will just make yours and your child's life a whole lot easier.
Your journey.
Easier
for that. But I think going back to, for everyone that's listening, is that this is a trial and error type of thing. You need to try. So in no way, shape, or form, I've done a million things, a million different doctors. You've done the same, over the decade period of time. So you just have to find what works for your kid. What is that, what is that niche for them?
Yes. I think too, especially in our world with the autoimmune diseases, they don't have kid drugs and adult drugs. They just have drugs. And with some of these kids, they would get approved. The drug would be on the market, and they're like, you're sitting there watching it drip into your kid a week later. It's scary stuff. So the doctors are trying new things, right? And a lot of the drugs only work for 18 months, 24 months, something like that. So to me, if you come at everything from okay, we're going to try this and we're going to do it for as long as it works. And when it doesn't work anymore, we're going to go on to the next.
Right.
That's kind of the whole, you got your whole life to do it, right? So you might as well just figure out what works today.
Kind of having that action plan. Plan B, A, B, C, D, and try them, check them off. They don't work, move on.
Exactly.
Move on. And I think that's how the Body Check Journal came to be, right? Because you're trying all these things. You're seeing what works. Does it go with food, weather, how she's feeling in the morning, how school is that day, to track to see if these things actually work or not. So it's a lot of work, but that's the way you get to the answer.
That too. And I wanted to try to figure out if there were patterns, right? So if a certain food was triggering her, I didn't want to automatically just assume it was one of her diseases. I wanted to see if there was other ways we could manage things before starting new meds or adding new things, or, just trying to figure out all those pieces to the puzzle. And I think I had sticky notes everywhere. I told you that last time. I had sticky notes. And finally, it's like, let's just put them in a book that makes it easier to keep track of stuff. So that's kind of how it got born. And then it was like, oh my gosh, when you're a mom and your kid's sick, there's nothing more overwhelming than that. So when your mom's with more than one kid, I don't know how you do it. So anyways, so I think, our world is about helping each other, helping moms navigate this, helping us, if you've been on this journey for 4 or 5 years, you have your new norm. Maybe you're at a point where you're like, okay, I've got this under control. Okay, maybe we could consider 1 or 2 things. Let's try this. Let's try that. Let's see if it works. It doesn't mean you're going away from the other. It means you're just trying new things along the way. One thing that's really good, that's a little controversial, but CBD oil is huge in the pain world. We have friends whose kids have seizures, and it's amazing. Like, their kids are going seizure free. It doesn't get you high. So for those of you that think, oh my gosh, I can't give them hemp oil because I don't want them to get high, it doesn't do that at all. But it's huge for pain. It does wonders for pain. There's the drops you take internally. I've seen somewhere you rub it on the skin and it soaks in the area of pain. But if it's something that you're interested in, I would highly encourage trying it, because it's a natural thing. There's no pharmaceuticals in it, and just see, it might be something you want to add to your repertoire.
Now that's something that's not currently covered under any insurance, correct?
It's not, no. And there's different strengths of it. So I think I give you a link. We'll put a link of a place or two that you could check it out, and just try it. If you have a friend that has some, maybe see if they'll share a little bit before you pay for it, or if you're in a community of moms that's close, or the hospital group, like, try some of these things, share it, and see who likes it, who doesn't.
Right.
Some of it gets expensive, but some of it's not. You know, you can figure out, you know, you just got to try it little bit by little bit. Oh, back from the beginning, I'm trying to think of some other things. An inversion table. So, you know, an inversion, you lay flat and then you go, and it goes feet up.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have to check with you do have to check with your doctor on those, because what it does is it stretches the spine a little bit, but it lets all that fluid in there. Right. And, for a lot of the kids, Sadie loved it. She used it, for a long time. She would get on it, and it would just stretch her enough and lubricate everything in there that it just helped. So that's something that's, oh my gosh, you can pick those up, you know, off eBay or Craigslist or OfferUp or one of those for nothing. Or you might have a friend with one that you could just like let your kid try it and see if it helps. It did help for a while there. Sadie did use that. Not for a long period of time, but it was definitely helpful. I'm trying to think if we did anything else. Oh gosh, we even had someone give her crystals and be like, put this on your knee and it'll work. And I mean, seriously, I researched and tried pretty much anything, you know, well, within reason. But, you know, if it wasn't harmful, I was like, oh, well, maybe we'll try it and see.
Right.
So I just encourage people to be open-minded.
At the end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? Is that it doesn't work.
Oh yeah, you look crazy holding a crystal to your kid's knee, but otherwise, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? If it works or doesn't work. And, you know, you may stumble onto something that works really good for your kid. Like, you know, for us, the difference has been worth every moment of pain and stress and agony and like ready to pull my hair out and I don't know how to do this one more day. But on this side of it, oh my gosh, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I would love all these beautiful kids who are suffering to find their perfect combination. That's what we'll call it. What's the combination that works for your kid at this point in time? So the combination today might morph in a year. It might be something different. In another year, it might be something different. But if they can have more good days than bad days, I mean, we can't ask for anything more than that for them.
Right. Yes.
So,
preach about that.
What's that?
I was like, you need to just keep on preaching on that. That's so true. That's so
oh my
true.
Gosh.
You know, as long as you can, I mean, if your good days outweigh your bad days, you're winning, you know?
Right.
And if it's
and for the mamas too, like, take care of yourselves. It's okay to have a day for yourself. You know, the other thing we did with Sadie, that I think we might have touched on before was get them looking outside of themselves. You know, when you're having a bad day, just as a normal person, whenever you focus on somebody else or you find somebody else that's in a worse situation than you, your own issues just kind of take a back seat. And I am in no way minimizing the pain that any adult or child is in, but there's just points where it's not going to go away. So helping them focus on other things or on other people. There's a chemical that's released when you do something good for somebody else, or when you witness somebody doing something good. You know, you watch these shows and they grant wishes and they do these things, and you just get that, like Sadie calls it, that warm fuzzy feeling in your heart. It's because you're releasing this chemical. It might be dopamine or serotonin. I can't remember. I probably should look that up. But having your kid focus outside of themselves, look for something little they can do, or even just acknowledging, oh my gosh, that person doesn't have any legs. Holy cow, I'm grateful I have legs. Yes, they hurt, but I have legs. I am really grateful. You know, things like that. Sadie, with her, we started a nonprofit and did a lot of that kind of stuff. But she would say, when I help others, it makes my body feel better. And she recognized at a younger age that when she got that chemical hit of doing good for others, it made her feel better.
Right.
So,
and it's again back to that refocusing of energy. You know, refocusing your energy back on your mindset back onto something positive.
Right. And encouraging your kids outside of their disease. You know, it's really easy to just be all about your disease and all about their disease and focusing 100% on that. But making sure you remember that's just a tiny part of who they are. And if you focus on all the other amazing things about them and the amazing pieces of their life, sometimes it just flips that mindset a little bit. And, you know, you do everything you can for their pain, and then you just help them with quality of life. At least that's what we've done.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I think we covered. I could think we covered the gamut.
I think
And
we
we
did.
took these
I think I
viewers
talked
on.
your head off.
No. And we took everybody on this roller coaster of trying to figure out how you get two people on Facebook and you're looking at a different screen. And
To all of our
here.
friends who are watching, thank you. Thank you for popping in.
Yes.
This whole Zoom, Facebook disconnect with the privacy stuff with Facebook, they're trying to work out their kinks. So you're getting Facebook Live on phones and Zoom on the
and here it's like we're both on. You got your phone here, I got mine like down here. I'm like half of our faces are covered, but the main thing is that people are hearing the amazing content that you have to share with them about your journey, so that hopefully they can utilize, and try out a few of them things for themselves.
Right. And if you have questions, if you're one of those overwhelmed moms, just shoot us a Facebook note. We all have to stick together. And you might be in a situation where, everyone around you doesn't support you trying something new, but you've got a community of people that will support you 100% with doing whatever's best for your kid. We will support you 100%. You're the mama. You've got that intuition, So, so just
trust
keep
your
going.
gut.
Yep.
Trust
Every
your
day's
gut all
new.
the time.
Yep. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tammy, thank you for doing this. I love what you're creating. I love all the people you're helping and that you're hearing and seeing and acknowledging and giving them a place to share and a place to help others. So it's beautiful.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. And thank you for rolling with us. And again, we do want to thank everybody who's rolled with us this morning on us trying this out, but it worked. It was a little backwards, but it has worked. And so I thank you guys for tuning in to episode 33 of the On Air Advocate. This will be up on our YouTube channel as well as a podcast. So if you don't want to listen to all that stuff in the beginning, we cut that out, okay? So if you're sharing this with somebody, you might want to share the YouTube link, because then they won't have to go through our craziness that we started with all this. All right, well, thank you, Dawn, so much. And again, you guys can all hop on over to www.onairadvocate.com and get any further information and link onto our social media applications. And Dawn, for sure, will get me a list of all the things we chatted about so that we can get them dropped below. All right. Thank you so much, Dawn.
All right. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Bye, Tammy.
Bye-bye.